I'm warning you. I'm warning you.
Oh no, the f***? Oh my AGILF, damn it. AGILF?
It's real. It's
Because, hey, the U.S. is the only place to go. There's nowhere else to go.
Okay, just because you're homeless and dying on the streets, sweet, I'd finally be able to spend my time eating, sleeping, and what do you mean? That is
I don't can't do this. Monday we'll start weekly uploads.
Yesterday, I looked outside of my private jet, made out of Kim Kardashian debunked credit cards, while wearing the new radioactive gamma glow Yeezys, and praying that a layover to Japan does not happen. And suddenly, I had an epiphany. I was looking at over 100,000 Jeffries and Andys, while playing League of Legends. By the way, we won. God, I'm awesome. And oh yeah, I remembered the hype about that AI thing that old people can't pronounce. You may have heard about it. ChatGPT? EDP? No, I said ChatGPT. Slut-G-G-G. Fuck it, whatever. AI hype is here. From mid-20 white guys with a laptop and on Twitter to old scammers changing keywords. The world seems to be revolving around this new technology that has given birth to all sorts of celebrities and computer experts who will inspire memes until the end of our miserable existences, like Sammy Boy, who gave Joe Biden a $200,000 tip. But likewise,
is the difference between the word word and the word world.
a horny man who said to the question, should we pump the brakes on AI development? Oh no, the fuck? I want my AGILF, damn it. AGILF? Artificial General Intelligence Loving Friend. Guys, I'm so lonely. AGILF? Hence, we hashtag hustle GPT and applaud leadership from thought leaders like Jackson Fall, who are disruptive, innovative, and mission critical. This fucker asked ChatGPT to turn $100 into a small fortune and created a company worth 25 grand. So, with starters casually getting 400 grand and sectors like gaming getting more and more returns on the stock market, I think we can safely say that AI is here to stay. But you want to know what else is here to stay? But fuck this subscription box. So comment, like, and subscribe before I end up like this dude. AI tools have the potential to make you millions of dollars, or destroy all your hopes of buying a house and providing for your family. And I'm convinced that a robot may take your job in less than a decade. So, it's time for us men to do that toxic male shit you love to watch on YouTube if you hope to survive, instead of being put out like that lit bee from the kombucha juice we don't talk about. This leads me to think, there's no better time to join the real world. Oh, you thought that I was gonna go outside and touch grass? No, because I'm in a better place, thanks to new course. Just click the link in the description. My cat is hungry. I've taken a look at website in hopes of surviving the technological revolution that is happening, and I found out a few interesting things. The Real World website claims that we can learn around like-minded people and from like-minded mentors. Will teach us how to make money through action, not a textbook, and they'll get their students making money as quickly as possible. To find out if these claims are true, I interviewed one of his students, and then I realized the audio was not working. So, after subjecting myself to torture of recording the interview, editing it, crying in my room, and debating existential questions like why are people quitting their jobs to play video games, I was finally able to gather the most valuable information for you. So, here are the results.
So, especially, coming from your perspective, um, I found something very interesting. The gaming part of it, right? Where you're talking about how this experience, from like a gamer's mindset, has kind of like taught you in a way, kind of like aided you along this process because you've kind of had to learn some of these basic skills. So on that side, I'm interested to know your perspective. Yeah.
So I think especially gamers should take advantage of this, and I want to say that like gamers are definitely programmed for this because gamers are taught. We play many different genres as gamers, so we're forced to treat problems differently. A
Mm-hmm.
shooter is not the same mentality as problem solving for a RPG,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go into that with that, especially with the way video games are advertised and gamers end up more often disappointed than happy, you start taking all that like that information of why does this video game suck? This video game's broken because of bad programming. Well, I'm gonna go behind the scenes and see what happens. When you put it in context of a video game,
Mm-hmm.
it's very it becomes clear as day when you're escaping the matrix because obviously something in the traditional life isn't working. And the thing of it is, I see the flaw, and school at the end of the day, in my opinion, has always been a big tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really provide anything accurately. So what I find for the real world to be close to a video game is this is a video game that you tailor make the settings for. You in life can choose how hard your life will be. You
Mm-hmm.
go into the school, you get your course based on what you come in with as far as what you know how to do and what you feel comfortable with. The options are you're setting your own options. Then throughout the course it's going to be a difficult experience, but we've all played games where it's difficult, but once you make it through to the end, it's the most rewarding process.
Cool.
So I
Cool to hear.
think, pardon.
No, it's like cool to hear. Um, like you were saying about your perspective as a gamer, it's cool to hear that so much in like traditional media is like, oh, you're not doing too much with your time, but as I've kind of grown up, I've kind of, like you're saying, it's kind of like made me realize, like, oh my God, during that time that I was doing that, it has helped me in a lot of areas. And it's really cool to see, um, this kind of like more, what's a good word for it? Like, conceptualized, right? With your experience and seeing that is acting, helped you along the way of being able to learn these principles. So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely interesting to go in it with that gamer mindset. I think that tends to be actually the more common student that I see in is actually a lot of gamers.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think they're better equipped for it because of the way where gamers approach problems. It's like I said, going back to the different mentality. How do I readjust my focus? Okay, so I can't go and rush this in. There has to, but every gamer comes with the angle of how do I solve this problem? Because this is solvable. I can get past this level. And when you think of it in the terms of a video game, especially if you think about being a male,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, we have to work hard for everything. So why are we going to stay stuck in a tutorial for 10 years that at the end of the day really doesn't bear any fruit instead of trying to take advantage of, trying to take advantage of a tool that we can utilize to make the video game a lot more straightforward and easier and cut some time off of it, trim the fat and everything.
Yeah, like you're saying there, um, like you were saying earlier on, okay, about the tutorial and the traditional system and how that kind of like transfers in a lot of people's mindsets after that, where they become programmed to think in that mindset and only that mindset, and anything else is like a waste of time, right? But as a gamer, you quickly realize, right? that there's almost always something more to the system, right? Like there's always something more to the framework that you're playing in, right? So,
The biggest concern for AI is, am I replaceable?
mhm,
And let's be clear, AI is not going to be replacing what the real world teaches. The real world is giving you courses that go hand in hand with AI. They have integrated AI into the courses that they give, because they will sit you down and tell you how to give you a course, uh, get you through all your training, and you'll be learning primarily how to do it on your own. Once you get to a certain point, you'll start learning about AI. And the reason they do it, for I believe, at the end of the course,
mhm,
because the thing is, at the end of the day, even if, let's say, you're doing advertising and you have AI trying to do it, the fact of the matter is, we're advertising towards humans, and humans know when we see something that isn't just, there's no humanity put into it, there's no emotion.
interesting. Okay. Mhm.
They are giving us skills that AI cannot replace, because it still needs the human behind it. You could go like me. I'm in copywriting. I was learning the copywriting, so they started integrating AI, and I was one of those people initially thinking AI would like wipe out copywriters. But the thing is, you still have to talk in a way of being able to persuade somebody to buy something,
Mhm.
but you have to appeal to their personal struggle that they're going through. AI can word something well all day, but it's going to have a hard time convincing a human, you know, because there's no emotion behind that text. There's no way to drive the human completely to make a purchase. So that's where we come into using the AI for ourselves. Like, AI will not hinder anybody who joins the real world, because it's integrated into what we learn. We're learning how to do it, and it's definitely here. I would say, especially for anybody who is worried about AI, should join the real world, because they're basically giving you $1 million worth of game for $50 a month. You can't beat that.
Interesting. Yeah, one of the things I saw on the website was like a Netflix subscription, right? At the end of the
Hmm.
month, what do you take away from that, right? Like, oh, I might have had like a couple hours of fun watching whatever shows out at the time, but with a subscription like this, you're learning a skill set. In your case, you lost like in 6 months a crap ton of pounds, right? Like, this is something that will have an impact on you way longer, right, than a Netflix subscription could ever bring. And I found that, parallel to be very interesting because, especially going into this world where there's going to be a lot more automation in areas and stuff like that, most people are going to get further and further away of relying on like core skills, right? They're going to start to um, offload, these core things like you were talking about, how to be persuasive and be able to sell a product, right? Especially marketing, one of the most important things is knowing your customer. And I don't think that, generally into the future, that, AIs are going to be able to understand humans better than we can understand ourselves, at least like on a general broad level, right? And I think that these types of skill sets will always have like some sort of place. And I think that, kind of like you're saying, about learning these things, right? Like this built into the curriculum to be able to have that mindset. The people who are going to succeed the most, especially into this new like AI era, are going to be able be. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. Are going to be the people are going to be the people who know how to use AI, right? Somebody that knows how to use the web, right, will have a hundredfold advantage over the person that doesn't know how to use the web, right? And the same thing with the AI. The person who knows how to use AI, right, will be 100 times more effective than the person who doesn't know how to use AI. And I think that this kind of brings that to fruition in a way, in a real way, where you have a community of people that are really motivated, that are really learning these, principles, these foundations, all that type of stuff, and they're now starting to apply that with the addition of AI. So yeah, just found that very interesting. Thanks for your time. Really interesting insights. Anything else you would like to say?
I would like to say for anybody who is considering joining real world, if you're finding schools not traditionally for you, give this a try. There's nothing wrong with giving it a try because at the end of the day, if traditional schooling isn't maybe working out for whatever reason, and I would say give it a try because it could be something for you. You, like I said, it's very personalized. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I said, I lost all that weight on this program. Last time I was watching Netflix, I didn't turn it off and then have a six pack afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So the results speak for itself.
Wow, yeah, like you're saying, it literally it speaks for itself, and I think that that's something that in this today's world, a lot of things are becoming more and more complicated. But like these base things, right? Eating healthy, committing to something, spending your time wisely, right? Those things will always have an empirical effect, no matter where you're going, right? So yeah, nice talking to you. Thank you for your time.
No problem, brother. You take care.
You too. Peace out.
After this interview, I continued researching on my own while looking suspiciously at my iPhone, convinced it was only a matter of time before I became his slave. Then, I stumbled upon this on Reddit, the greatest source of wisdom since the birth of mankind. Without some sort of revolution against capitalism, pessimistic, the government has been corrupted by corporate rich class through lobbying to self-interested politicians. And the only exponential thing to come with AGI or ASI will be economic inequality. I was ready to lock myself in my house and wait for the end of the world until I remembered that's what I do every day. But then I watched Nomad Capitalist's video and he said this.
But there's a dystopia that people are also talking about that AI could create. And today we're going to talk about how to protect yourself from the darker side of AI. Easier. I've been reading in the news about certain kind of dystopian events that could be created through artificial intelligence. Anything from, crushing infrastructure to unleashing new diseases through things like people hacking, through AI. And my thought of that is it's going to be more likely to happen in places like Los Angeles and London than Lima and Larnaca. Is important. Just staying in a place that is the target of everybody may open up new threats. It's a good idea to have a second residence, a second home, a second passport, a place to go that's a little bit off the radar.
See, he's got us covered. I can finally take that offshore trip to Taiwan. Oh, wait. Well, how about that vacation and see the Black Sea? And, oh wait. Okay, never mind. But there has to be more, right?
Lost jobs and the resulting chaos of that. This does seem a little bit different. The Independent in the UK says it could be an unprecedented scale. And so while many of the people who are displaced from jobs could be replaced in a new AI world or doing something else, I do think from the nomad capitalist perspective that you will see politicians using people being put out of jobs as ways to introduce new things.
Exactly what I told you. He would see through the elites.
It could be used to divide the population further, as it is in most Western countries now. And hey, if you're the employer laying people off, who knows what new restrictions could be put in place? Governments have become more and more emboldened.
Okay, just because you're homeless and dying on the streets doesn't mean we go after the rich elite employers or let the government meddle and hold these poor guys living the elite nomad lifestyle accountable.
You may also see riots by people who don't get new jobs or who aren't sure what's going to happen. I mean, the news says an unprecedented scale of people having to change their job, having to figure out something new. And I think politicians will use that to their advantage to say, hey, we're going to take care of these folks, and we're going to do so at the expense, because we're bankrupt, our countries are bankrupt. We're going to do so by dramatically raising taxes. We may impose new restrictions on employers, and we may even make it harder to leave.
So, if you want to watch more non-AI, anti-elite nomad brokies, find Jesus, cause your common sense is completely shot.
Here's the second thing that AI could do, is actually make better investment decisions. You can invest in the stock market in certain countries and get a residence permit. You can buy real estate in a certain country that you're going to rent on Airbnb, where the government actually wants Airbnb, rather than in places like New York and Berlin, where they're shutting it down effectively. You could find these new deals, get passports, get residence permits, build more options for yourself, which you're going to need given the first part, where potentially people are really coming for you with pitchforks and stuff to lie down money because, hey, the U.S. is the only place to go. There's nowhere else to go. Not only survive, but thrive.
Yes! Thrive! My accountant might not be so evil, but making me follow the rules, yada yada, it's as simple as...
My goal is to inspire millions of people and to live by the 5 magic words we talk about here at Nomad Capitalist. Go where you're treated best.
And...
So, long story short, I'm moving to Dubai. I'm a firm believer of go where you're treated the best.
But an investment in Dubai? I mean, a free passport? I can finally buy those ancient bagpipes from that guy out in Chad. Chad! Please, don't tell my accountant.
A chilling statistic for you. 30% of Gen Z, I believe in the US, the youngins, believe that you should have surveillance cameras in your house. Every technology that already exists before we're born, we just totally take for granted. Every technology that comes about when we're young is bold and innovative. And everything that comes about when we get older it's going to kill us all. And so there's probably a fine line somewhere in the middle. Well, now the young generation, those young kids say, yeah, listen, we should just totally take away your privacy. How does AI do that? There's going to be a lot of ways that potentially, I mean, who knows what they'll come up with?
Yes, no surveillance. No, seriously though. I do way too much crazy shit to be on cam 24/7. They might lock me up after I post this video.
Now the taxman, by the way, is getting it on AI too. They're using it to surveil people. They're flying drones over people's swimming pools in France. And so I do look at AI as a lot of people who don't know much about it are getting involved in it.
The only piece of truth spoken in this 13-minute long video, one thing is certain. The rich will not be your friends in the future. You thought that was a deep dive? That was nothing compared to when I went underwater to a place known only through legends and epic threats that even worried Mark Zuckerberg. A place where all your IQ points are suffocated right out of your brokey keyboard's ass cheeks. Reddit. But unlike the times I spent buying IK99 on r/fallacies, I mean singularity, this was bestowed upon me by Reddit mods. I mean gods. I said the magic words, so don't ban me again. A rare Steppenwolf article. Or, better yet, a closing segment for a Rush video. The article titled, Will AIs Take All Our Jobs and End Human History or Not? Well, it's complicated. Talks about will AIs take all our jobs and end human history or not? Well, it's complicated. Speaking about its complexity, we start out with understanding the complexity of computation. Computation equals rulad, which is way too complicated for a low computational overworked being like me to explain. So, I'll leave this to what got me through school. Google. The procedure of calculating, determining something by mathematical or logical methods. So, he speaks about how you can't truly predict AIs because of computational irreducibility, In the same way, humans are hard to predict. That's why we break laws. This is the basis for computational irreducibility. According to this article, it's expected that one day the machines will do everything and take over. Sweet! I finally be able to spend my time eating, sleeping, and fucking. What do you mean? Redditors don't fuck? Computational irreducibility will stop you from hook up with your utopian full dive AGILF. Because there will always be something spicy hot, cold drama when you let your bullshit fly. And, well, eventually have to do something about things like not going extinct, but especially not letting your bullshit fly. This led me to wonder, what's the future of jobs in an AI world? I think this quote nicely summarizes this final segment. Even if absolutely everything, even our very existence, has been automated by computation, that doesn't mean we can't have a perfectly good inner experience of meaningful existence. Mindset is king, with AI or not. You can't control the outer world, but you can control your inner. On a light follow-up note, if there is lots of unpredictability, we may be back to more ancient points of view about the importance of fate, or we may view AIs as a bit like the Olympians of Greek mythology, duking it out amongst themselves and sometimes having an effect on us mortals. Now that I've said all the shit I wanted to, go to sleep, little mortal, because tomorrow will be a new day to be broken.